There's never been a more important time to move in a vegan direction. Whether you're ready to start, restart, or re-energize your vegan or plant-based practice, this podcast is for you. I'm Michelle Olander, life coach, vegan, ADHD matriarch, travel lover, and smoothie loather. And I know that it's the details that can get in the way of your vegan journey. But I like to believe that the obstacle is always the way. So every week we meet here where I translate some of the tools of life coaching and Stoic philosophy, and I bring you actionable tips, some laughs, and interesting guests, vegan ideas for everyone at any age, all to help you veg your best. Episode 199, Why You Need Your Own Podcast. My Veg Your Bestie. This is episode 199. 199 consecutive weekly episodes here at this pod. And I am actually a little bit paralyzed about what to do for episode number 200 because, only a tiny percentage of podcasts make it to 200 episodes. Did you know that? Way under 5%. Under 5% of all the millions of podcasts. Even the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Harry and Meghan, they only published 12. So 200 consecutive weekly episodes between you, me, and the microphone here. I'm actually kind of proud of that. I'm not super proud of a lot of things. I have too much social conditioning against pride. Some things I'm good at or good enough at, and I'm happy. I'm happy that I'm able to do those things. And some things, the things in my life that are really great, I'm just really grateful. Grateful that though maybe I played a part in that luck, there was still a lot of luck involved in who my parents were, what century, what country I was born in. So pride is not my usual default spot, but I am proud of this podcast. And I know that I've tried hard and done things and had some accomplishments and done my best, but, well, in general, I think, no biggie, Michelle. You just did what normal people would expect you to do. So what do you want, a cookie? Anyway, I'm very glad that I went vegan when I did, and I'm very glad that I started this podcast. And if you asked me what I'm most proud of, yes, you're listening to it, and it's not because I'm amazing at it. And that's why I would like to suggest that there might be a few of you, or a lot of you, listening, and I think you should consider starting a podcast or restarting a podcast you've let slide, or re-energizing that podcast you do have, because this is the most democratic, small d democratic platform, this medium. It's accessible to and for almost everyone, certainly to any of you listening. If you have a laptop or smartphone and a voice, you can start a podcast. Even if you can't speak, there are actually accessories to speak what you type. It is just the best medium, in my opinion. And I've talked about it here, a pretty enthusiastic podcast listener before I started Veg Your Best. And it's through podcasts that I have been able to find so many of the people, the mentors, the teachers, even the fellow students or travelers who were dealing with subjects that really mattered to me. And podcasts are still where I go when I want to learn things. Whether it's art, science, politics, history, what makes a podcast interesting to me is the viewpoint, whether it's about art or science or politics or history or home management or child rearing, the slant through which that podcaster shares their slice of the information, their viewpoint of the world, that's what makes it fascinating to me. For example, I listen to, I guess, about a half dozen podcasts on the topic of home and business organization. So the ideas, the specifics of what each of those podcasters recommend, more or less the same. More or less. Of course, there are some differences, but more or less, in general, they're saying roughly the same things. And did you know that there are certainly hundreds of them, but there might even be thousands of podcasts just in English on the topic of organizing and decluttering and project management. But I'm pretty devoted to about 6 of them because for one reason or another, I just really connect or like the podcaster. It's as simple and personal as that. And those podcasters on those 6 or 7 home and work management organization podcasts, they keep me upbeat and lighthearted when I listen to them, and they keep me company. They keep me company on my goals. They are like having somebody in there with you. I like having that company along with me on my goals as someone with a home and stuff and changing priorities in the way I live, the way I value my stuff now in a different season of my life. I have a plan, but then, oops, I find I haven't done anything on that plan for days or weeks or worse. So having a podcast from somebody I'm delighted to hear from in my ear, well, I don't forget as often. I have that relationship. I know it sounds kind of sad in some ways. My relationships, so many of them are with podcasters I've never met, but I just think they're the most marvelous opportunity to connect with somebody purely in the area that you want that connection. Because I can think, oh, whoops, I wanted to keep my home managed and my paperwork under control, but I just forgot. I can forget about things I really want to do because I have what's been sometimes called a mind with an exceptionally fast switching software, which is kind of a gift and also kind of a nightmare to be around if you're hoping that I'm going to start a task on time and see it through to completion. Because I have an addiction. Have you guessed what it is too? I have an addiction to learning new things. I'm just hopelessly addicted. That's where all the dopamine is for me. So if I'm to rely on my own devices and enthusiasm and energy to guide me through my day, week, and year, okay, that's going to be funny because I'm going to be flitting from one thing to another, changing my calendar app or deciding I need a different journal. Maybe my walks need to be at a different time of day. My favorite decluttering and home organization podcasters, they will reel me in. They'll reel me in because they'll be in my ear now and then throughout the week saying, cuckoo, Michelle, we get you, but for the next 5 minutes, just put away a few things. Michelle, close those tabs on your browser. Michelle, why don't you just do what you were going to do when you woke up? And you can change it tomorrow if it's important. And as I was preparing my notes for today, just so you know how common this is for me, just in the middle of my notes, I suddenly thought, wait, what day is it? That's the birthday of someone I haven't seen in 40 years. Maybe I should try to find her on Facebook. Okay, see? It's delightful as well as a huge drag if you're Charlie and you're waiting for me to get you the podcast sound file for this podcast. So what I'm saying is I self-medicate with podcasts, and I for sure am not alone. I get my fix for all my many enthusiasms for language learning and travel and the arts and writing and information and how to garden or how to avoid plastic and toxins. I get my information for how to run my business, inspiration for how to do a more efficient job with my social media content. My podcasts are like my team. They keep me learning and on task and inspired, and they also keep me company when I'm forced by adult necessity to do the things that are not new and fun and dopamine stimulating, like errands or shopping or vacuuming or weeding or filing or sorting through my email. So that's a long way of saying, my Veg Your Bestie, is I think for sure there are people out there who need you in their ear. So Maybe you're vegan or plant-based. Maybe you're moving in that direction. Or maybe you're just kicking the tires on the idea. I think you should consider having your own podcast. Maybe you're just thinking about starting with some extra vegetables in your diet, because right now you're not a big fan of salads and broccoli. Maybe you're retired or a caregiver, or you work in an environment with lots of seniors, or maybe you have small kids and you homeschool, or maybe you're an artist or a creative, or maybe you travel for work 3 days a week. I'm telling you, I think all those scenarios are super interesting. And people would love to hear from you about how you veg your best and what your vegan or plant-based practice looks like. Are you just starting with crowding out the animal products? I think you should do a podcast. Do you live in a super vegan, hip, forward-thinking community? Maybe you should do a podcast. Do you not know anyone who's even vegetarian, much less vegan? I think you should do a podcast. Is your language at home Polish or Welsh? Do you live in a food desert or on a farm? Are you an evangelical Christian or a Buddhist? I really do think you should consider having a podcast. And I'm telling you, someone out there needs to hear it. You know, this podcast has listeners of a bunch of ages, but most of them are over 45, and lots of them are over 60. That makes me so happy. It means that there's a certain group in the world that likes to listen to my point of view on this topic. Now, my website is undergoing a glow up, I guess you could call it, and it's changing from michelleolandercoaching.com to veganatanyage.com. Hasn't officially changed yet, but we're in the middle of it. And I'm doing that, vegan at any age, because I think the challenges and the benefits of a vegan practice can be a little different at different seasons and at different ages and in different communities and in different traditions. So if any of you are thinking, that would be cool, but how would I even start a podcast? Who would care? Who would listen? I want you to pitch me, because I think your unique vegan or plant-based situation is necessary. And I want you to come on this podcast. I want you to come on, Veg Your Best, and we can do the episode together in a conversation. Or if you're brave and you want, I'll help you do the episode all on your own, like it's your show. Because, you know, I think people want to hear from you. I've said it on more than one occasion. As far as I'm concerned, there cannot be enough vegan or plant-based podcasts out there. And if you're scared or you're overwhelmed, still, email me. I bet we can do it. Or we could put it on the calendar for later in the year if this is a tough time for you. But I bet we can get your episode out. I'm happy to show you what it would take to have a podcast that reflects who you are right now on your vegan journey. And if you're thinking, well, wait, I'm not really plant-based or vegan yet. I just listen to you, Michelle, because I know you socially and I gossip about how weird you are behind your back. Well, even you know who you are. I want you to have a podcast too. So email me. Let's talk about it together. So my email for you to reach me, my email address, it's in the show notes, or of course you can message me on Instagram. But my email is info at michelleolandercoaching.com. There's one L in Michelle, the way it's correctly spelled, Michele. So, do you see why I'm changing my website to Vegan at Any Age, so you don't have to remember how to spell my name? But still, you need to email me at info at michelleolandercoaching.com. The link will be in the show notes, and I want you to tell me what you're thinking about. What would your fantasy podcast be about? And we can talk, and I'm going to give you my best feedback and ideas, and maybe in the long run we could collaborate and I can get you on here periodically. I can't do all the things I want to do here, but I do want to encourage you on your vegan journey and beyond, because I think this universe actually needs your unique spin and story. So let's go. What are you? Are you the vegan homeschool dad? Are you the plant-based project manager, the vegetarian accountant, the plant-powered plants woman? I actually should have Googled to see if any of those are already being used. Listen, I want you to think about what is your platform. What is it you do that might be an inspiration or a help or just a warm companion for somebody else out there when they need it? You may or may not relate to this, but there are people that I talk to all the time who want to start something, they just don't know where to begin, and they don't know anyone else that does it. Or if they do know someone who does it, they're nothing like them. They can't relate to the people that are able to get that done. What is that you can offer? All right. This is all part of it. I want you to be vegan and plant-based. Yes, I do. But I also want you to just get so excited about your life. And you know what I really want. I want you to veg your best.
Veg Your Best podcast production, music, and editing by Charlie Weinshank. Thanks, Charlie. Before you go, it would mean so much to me and the Veg Your Best team if you would hit subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, or share with someone you think might be interested. Something about algorithms, it helps bump us up a little in the rankings, and that's the best way to help others find the podcast and for us to find our audience. So, until next week, make it easy and veg your best.